Back at the Progressive Auto Sales Arena today, and very fittingly, because this gentleman we're going to talk to sure knows his sports. I've learned a lot from him over the years of knowing him, and I'm grateful for his expertise. And we're going to have some fun chatting with Barry Wright. Thanks so much, Barry, for giving me your time.
I was going to say, you obviously have me mistaken because you've referred to me as a gentleman, you see.
Oh, right, sorry. How dare I do that? See, and that's where this conversation is going to go, right? And like I said, a fitting spot to do up here. We're kind of in the Sting suite next to the YourTV Sarnia media booth. And we're going to get to how you got into all of that. But where are you from originally?
Originally, was born in Ottawa.
Okay.
And lived all over the place. My dad was in the Air Force, so we lived overseas for a few years. We lived on the West Coast for a few years, and then eventually, once Dad got out of the Air Force, came back to Ottawa and lived there for, I want to say about 11, 12 years, I guess, until I began my career that took me to other places. But I guess for lack of a better way of putting it, Ottawa's home base.
What was that like? You moving around, the Air Force kid or the Army kid, however, you hear the stories of moving town to town.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
It's a little different and perhaps even difficult. You don't really get a chance to develop friendships. You hear those types of stories where I've been a friend with so and so since we were in kindergarten, right? And now we're 60 years old or whatever. That doesn't really happen as much because you don't have a chance to develop those relationships as much. But I think it turned out okay. So
yeah. So far, right? And so, what was your, I guess, experience then, like mom and dad? So dad was obviously away a lot and doing whatever he had to do. So mom was
she was kind of a stay-at-home mom. She had a few hobbies of her own. She was I'm not sure if I could use the don't want to get in trouble as far as sponsorship is concerned, but she was an Avon salesperson. So got an opportunity to have, she got out of the house that way and took her products to go and see friends and that sort of thing. But for the most part, she was, I guess we were the kind of the Leave It to Beaver family, right? Where dad went out to work and mom stayed at home.
Well, but back then, that's what it was.
Exactly.
Dad went to work, mom stayed home.
Yeah.
Which was a really good structure, quite honestly, right? To have somebody at home to raise the kids. And when I say kids, you have brothers and sisters?
I have an older brother. I'm sorry, an older sister, a younger brother. So we're about, my sister is 3 years older than I am. My brother is 4 years younger. So we were kind of, spread out, I guess.
You're the middle.
So I'm the middle one. So they tell me that all the research that I've done about children and that sort of thing, they tell me that I'm the diplomat, right? The middle child is always the diplomat. So,
So is that true?
I'm not sure if that's true or not. In some cases, yes, some cases, no.
I'll ask your sister and your brother.
Exactly.
Yeah. But close with your brother and sister then?
We have been. We were growing up, obviously, very close, and then my sister actually married into the military as well. Her husband has since retired. Was in the Navy, so they were kind of all over the place too. They lived on the West Coast, East Coast, at the NORAD base in North Bay for a while. And my brother was a single man for most of his life. And actually, my sister and brother-in-law, by the way, now live in Calgary. My brother, after my mom passed away, moved out to Calgary as well, and he met somebody there. So he was actually just married about a year ago.
Oh, wow.
I was out at Calgary last year in late October last year. So I mean, we've kind of stayed in touch. It's a little more difficult, obviously, with my sister's name is Brenda, my brother's name is George. So Brenda and George being in Calgary, a little more difficult. But technology works too. I was going to say probably
easier now than it was way back.
For sure,
right? With FaceTime and all that stuff. And so like life was pretty good growing up.
Then, for the most part. I think we were air quotes typical family. I think we had our ups and downs like everybody.
Sure. Did you like school? I always ask that question because I think school is what kind of defines us in the beginning.
I think there was some subjects that I liked better than others. I was mathematically inclined when I was younger, so I liked math and that sort of thing.
I still hate math.
I wasn't a big science person, so some subjects better than others. But for the most part, I think it was a relatively enjoyable experience.
Did you know? Were you one of those ones that decided early on in life what you want to do?
Absolutely not. When I was out of school,
you didn't have a life plan.
No. My sister-in-law, who's a nurse, my wife's sister, she has wanted to be a nurse since she was like 4 years old, right? And she is a nurse, well, retired now, but was a nurse for many, many years. But that wasn't my path at all.
Yeah.
I got out of school and kind of bounced around a little bit to figure out what I wanted to do.
How did you figure it out?
Actually, it was quite by accident. A friend of mine was going off to this seminar. Remember how they used to have downtown hotels, and they'd book a room and the job fairs or whatever would be in there. Well, anyway, they had this.
They still do that.
Do they still do that? I've been for a while, so there you go. But it was kind of a correspondence course that he was interested in. So he asked me to tag along, and I did. And it was a correspondence course as pertained to radio.
Yeah.
And then the fellow that he or the leader, whatever, asked me if I wanted to sort of lay down a tape, and I said, "Oh, sure, why not?" And then he said, "Oh, you have a great voice for radio. You should consider it." And whether he was being truthful or just wanted my money, I'm not sure, but
maybe both.
But the rest, as they say, is history, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you ever have anybody? Because I hear it. I mean, and of course our voice changes. Right. I mean, even 15 years ago, I know my voice is completely different. Did you ever have people saying that to you, like, "Oh, Barry, you got a"?
I really didn't. I was, as I say, I had some interest in like mathematical things. I had a little bit of interest in accounting, and I looked into like certified general accounting and that sort of thing as far as post-secondary school is concerned. So I really didn't have anybody say, "Hey, you should really consider this or this." Not friends or guidance teachers. So it was, if you want to consider it an accident, or I look at it more sort of, divine intervention, if you will.
Sure, right place, right time.
Exactly.
Laws of the universe, whatever
exactly.
That was, right?
So
you got into that, and then where was your first gig?
My first job was in Cornwall, which is about an hour from Ottawa, sort of in between Ottawa and the Quebec border. So I wasn't too far from home. My very first job was working midnights. Right?
That's where every radio person
exactly.
Because nobody's listening.
You spun the tunes between midnight, or no, it was 11 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning, right? So a long shift. But as you say, that's where you go to make your mistakes. And unfortunately, people that are into the business now, they don't have that opportunity. There are not places where you can go to just go and make your mistakes, right?
You mentioned the technology in there, right, too. But, so you were the late night DJ? You were playing the music? What kind of music were you playing?
Oh, I forget. Like, so back, it was 1977, so it's going on 50 years ago now. I'm trying to think back to
48. I'll give it to you.
Okay. So you are good at that, after all. I don't know, like Lionel Richie and tunes like that, back in the late 70s, and they don't sort of jump off the page.
So sort of an easy mix.
It was an easy listening sort of station, and then we started at 11 o'clock. We read our own news overnight. That's when remember the old teletype machines, right? Where they just
I don't remember.
They kept going. They kept going, and the paper.
I remember taking that in history.
That's
class.
Right. Yeah, the paper would all pile up, and so
yeah.
So
WKRP style.
Yeah, exactly. It was similar. It was similar. Right?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I just came back from a bit of a reunion from. I was in Cornwall about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And it's the group of people obviously has grown, but there was only maybe about a half dozen of us sort of from my era. But it was good to catch up with people and recognize what they're doing now. We've sort of kept in touch in a peripheral sort of way.
Oh, nice.
But it was nice to sort of get back and recall some of the stories and the goofy things we used to do and so on when we were in our 20s and didn't care, right? So.
Right. And did you get into the? I remember a friend of mine was in radio a long time, about that time too, that I met, and you had to splice.
Yes, yeah.
The tape.
Splice tapes.
Did you have to do that?
Yeah.
Because you can't screw that up, right?
No,
you only get one shot.
You get one shot. The tape is maybe about that wide. So, and then there was a white, almost like surgical tape, if you will, and you had to cut the
kind of like a liquid paper kind of thing.
Exactly, and then you cut where you wanted the, if you wanted to take an out of where someone, so you'd sort of get to that point, then you'd slice where the sentence ended, and then where the took place, and then the next part of the sentence began. So you take that piece out and you'd place that little piece of surgical or electrical tape, but you only had one chance, right?
What happens when you screwed it up? Because human error says that you're gonna screw that up.
Exactly.
It's just play.
It is what it is, right? So.
Don't do that too many times.
But that's where technology has
I couldn't have done
made
it
things
back
a whole
then.
lot easier. Yeah, and some guys were like way better than others. I wasn't great at it, right? But other guys would be able to just boom, 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 and it was done, right? And done perfectly every time. So.
On my phone now, maybe, yes, because I can see it now.
That's right, exactly.
In fact, I just tell it, and it'll do it for me now.
Exactly, yeah. But that's how much things have changed over the past number of years, right?
Well, even how radio is not even just the technology in putting all the pieces together, from the one-liners to the news to everything else, but just to how it is.
Right.
And was there a lot of community involvement at your station?
There was a lot of the disc jockeys would go out to various events. Go out to such and such, what we used to call remotes, right? Where you'd go out and so and so would be having a sale live on location, selling furniture, selling clothes, selling Christmas trees, whatever the case may be, right? And then the fellows and girls, although back then it was more fellows than girls, but they would go out and MC events and say people here might remember a place like Temple Street Station or whatever, the equivalent back in Cornwall.
Well, what I remember,
the DJs would go and they would go and host evenings there, that sort of thing.
You didn't do any of that?
I didn't do that. Well, I got into a little bit of music with a friend of mine. We brought a couple of bands into I wanted to say Sarnia, but we brought a couple of bands into Cornwall when we were younger. We thought maybe we'd become rich and famous.
Big PR guys.
Yeah, we didn't, but we brought in Trooper, and what was the other band we brought in? I'm trying to remember the 5-man electrical band.
Really?
So so that was kind of cool. And it was a good experience in the sense that you got to do everything from soup to nuts, right? Like you had to rent the arena. You had to. A lot of these bands have riders in their contracts. We need,
this amount of food. Need
3
green M&Ms.
out. Green M&Ms out, or we need 4 dozen oranges or whatever, right? So it was kind of neat to experience that.
That's interesting. I did similar things. So this is interesting. We're having this conversation.
Yeah. And, so we did that for about I guess it was about a year, and then we kind of realized that
there was no money in it.
That was
or we weren't good at this, or whatever. Well,
exactly.
You're young too. You're still kind of figuring it out.
Exactly.
Like you're doing the radio thing, but were you still like, is this my thing, or were you just doing it at that moment just to see or fill time?
I think it was just kind of one of those things where a friend of mine, Denny Gauthier is his name, and we just kind of were having a coffee one day, or maybe a little stronger than coffee, I'm not sure, and just thought, I hear that Trooper is playing in Kingston or in Brockville or one of the towns around there, and we thought, I wonder if we could bring them here. So we kind of did a little research, and that's kind of where it took off. But as I say, it wasn't a long-term thing, but it was fun.
Well, outside looking in, you look at that thing. You look at festivals that we've had here in Sarnia and stuff, and people go, "Wow, let's put up a stage, hire a band, where you go?"
Not quite that easy.
In fact, it's probably tougher now.
Oh, for sure.
Of permits and rules and all that sort of stuff. So moving forward, how long have you been married?
I've been married now since 1996, so we'll be 30 years next summer in August. I was kind of a later married guy, which is fine. And my wife Heather runs the Independent in Petrolia, the weekly newspaper there, and she actually has a second weekly paper that covers the Thamesville and Dresden area as well. So
how'd you meet her?
That keeps her busy. Well, she was actually at the radio station here in Sarnia when I was there. She had graduated from Fanshawe and started working there, and we struck up a friendship, and friendship became more than a friendship, I guess.
As I say, the rest is history.
Exactly. Yeah.
And children?
Children, we have 3. I have a daughter, Emily, who we were just talking off air before we started. She just gave birth yesterday, which would have been November 16th.
Right, congratulations.
Thank you. And that's our first grandchild.
Oh, boy. The first one.
I was going to say, he'll be spoiled. Right? Yeah, exactly. We already warned them.
Feed them lots of sugar.
Yeah, they know. That's I've always said that, and I've heard that from other people who are grandparents as well. The grandparents' job is to, wind them all up and then send them home. Right?
Yeah.
So that way,
and
that way you get all the benefits, but you don't have to take care of the consequences, right? So
I've also heard, like when parents brag about their children, there's only one that's worse than that,
right?
And it's the grandparents.
That's right, exactly.
My grandson, right? Yeah.
So anyway, Emily
that's great. Yeah,
Emily is our oldest. Lauren is our middle child, and then John. Some people might know John a little bit. He works. He's actually worked with me through my X program on Kojiko. He first came in with me. The girls actually used to have events that they would go to on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
So John would come with me, and to begin with, because he was about 4 or 5, he would do his homework and that sort of thing while he was sitting there, and then he became a little bit more interested in what was going on. So he would, answer the door, and he would greet people when the guests would come in. And then as he got a little older, into his early teens or so, he started doing a little bit of camera work and that sort of stuff. And now he actually does technical work with TV Kojiko here for the Sting games. So,
nice.
So yeah.
So it's running in the family.
It's running in the family. He was. He and Lauren both went to school in Toronto. They both graduated last year, and kind of ran out of money, I guess, in Toronto, so they're back home now, just kind of looking to see where their careers might take them. But for the time being, they're John is helping out with Kojiko here. So yeah.
So let's back up a little bit and go to the point where you came to Sarnia.
Right.
How did that?
I came to. I'll back up even further. Sure. I was Cornwall between 1977 and 1983.
Okay.
That's where I started. As I mentioned, started as an announcer, and then the sports opportunity. That radio stations used to have sports people. They don't quite as much anymore. But that opportunity arose, and then I became the play-by-play announcer for the Cornwall Royals at the time, which is the forerunner to the Sarnia Sting, right? So I had the opportunity to do that for 6 seasons, including 2 Memorial Cup championship seasons. So that was kind of neat, and got to meet some players. The late Dale Howard.
Nice to have on a resume.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Dale Howard was on the team.
Oh, yeah.
Scott Arneal, who's the coach of the Winnipeg Jets now, he was on the team. Doug Gilmore was on the team. Some other players that didn't go as far and might not be quite as recognizable, but so they were all part of the scenario there. Many of them sort of stayed in the area. There was one fellow that came down from Cornwall, from Northern Ontario, and he stayed in Cornwall and is now the fire chief in Cornwall. Gilles Crepeau is his name, and he's been there for whatever it is now, 40 some odd years. So anyway, from there, left Cornwall in 1983, got out of the business for a little bit, for about 1.5 years or so. Went to Ottawa, worked kind of some part-time hours in Ottawa at a station in Ottawa, and then came to Sarnia. So was in Sarnia, or have been in Sarnia since 1987.
Was that CHOK?
No, actually, it was at the time it was CKJD, which then became CKTY, and then the FM station was CJFI.
CJFI. A friend of mine worked there. He was the night guy.
There you go.
Derek.
Derek, okay, yeah. And that became the Fox, of course.
Yeah.
Now, so.
So so I mean, you're probably a couple of years older than me. I'm 56.
I've got a few years on you.
Just trying to be nice. But I'm a bit jealous because you hit the radio scene, at least around this area, at a time where you were going to see, not knowing it, so many changes in different radio stations, to different formats, to different owners, to what it is now. And you talk about doing, play-by-plays and stuff. Like, the relationships you've been able to accumulate over that time, and like these names just roll off your tongue.
Yeah, we actually, my wife and I were just talking about George Hayes, of course, is retiring coming up the end of next week, and I've known George since
I love George.
Way back when. Yeah. Ron Dan was there when I was there. Ron is still, of course, involved. The late John Herrado was there.
John, yeah.
John Davinsky was there. Yeah. I'm sure I'm going to miss somebody, but a lot of people that you.
Sue Storr.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so many more, right?
So,
yeah. And there's really, I'm sure there is in other cities, but it just seems like Sarnia's really got a history for radio.
Right, it does. Yeah.
And maybe you should write a book or do a documentary on that one. Right? What's probably so where did the sports come into all of this? Right. Was your taste for sports as a kid?
Yeah, as a kid, my dad and I, the typical story, we'd watch Hockey Night in Canada Saturday night, that sort of thing,
the original
right?
Six.
And at the time, back then, of course, there wasn't a ton of games on like there are now, where you can see it any night of the week, or you can see baseball any night of the week.
Yeah, it was only 6 teams back then.
It was 6 teams. It was Saturday night. Yeah. Major League Baseball was on Saturday afternoon. You got to see it once a week, right? And that was your
an event.
That was your appetite, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you'd of course, some people might be watching this and wondering what I'm talking about, but you'd get up the next morning, right? And you'd get the paper at the front door to find out, who scored the goal in the other game, because there weren't like 14 games on the network at the same time, right?
So, and there was no Twitter, Facebook,
no, that's right.
And
that's
all
right,
that
exactly.
stuff. I couldn't text message you to tell you what happened.
What happened, exactly, yeah.
And you love it, right? It could tell us, now you're here on YourTV Sarnia,
right,
and you're the color
commentary,
with Terry Doyle,
right?
And I interviewed him. It was probably about a month ago now, and he's quite a story as well, as I'm sure you. How long have you been doing that with Terry?
We started I was trying to think back the other day, and I think I have my dates right. We started in 2008, I believe. Okay. What was happening at the time was Lee Cunningham was doing the play-by-play on what was, I guess it was just known as Channel 6 back then, I believe. Yeah. Lee was doing the play-by-play, and Terry was doing the color commentary and doing the studio host, which he still does now. And then Lee had an opportunity to go and work in Saginaw for the Saginaw Spirit. So at the time, as I mentioned earlier, I was doing a weekly public affairs show on Coach Go, and I
was that right to the point?
Yeah. Exactly. Did that for, I guess it was,
I remember watching it.
Dozen years, 12, 13 years, what have you. But anyway, I mentioned to Terry, the experience that I had, that sort of thing, and if you're ever interested, give me a call. So anyway, one thing led to another, and he said, well, why don't we do it for a few games and see if there's any chemistry there and that sort of thing. It takes a little bit of time, obviously, to build it up.
There's a rapport you got to build with each other too, right?
So we've been doing that now for whatever the math is now, 17, 18 years, something like that, going on 2 decades, which makes it sound like way longer than it should be, right?
Right. But and I don't too often get to listen unless it's an away game,
right? Because
I'm
you're doing the same thing, exactly.
And I can listen to Lee and Pat once in a while, and I do, because I the joke is I don't even know how to spell sports. I'm an entertainer, but I've learned. I've been fooling somebody for 10 years, right? But when I do, there really is a chemistry there between you guys. Like, it's like you just know. You have sponsors you have to mention, and certain things you have to put out there, but you guys really just got a thing going on. I think you know when to talk, you know when to stop. He knows when it's just.
And there's, I don't want to pull the curtain too far behind, but there's, a little bit of hand signals going on. If he wants to say something, he'll kind of point to himself, or if he needs me to kind of be quiet so he can say something, he'll put the hand up or that sort of thing, which is fine.
But that's just direction.
That's the way it works, right? But you're right. It's taken a little bit of time to develop that chemistry, but I think we've got a pretty good chemistry now. Have a little fun with each other. During the school day game we had here not too long ago, We had a little,
How's your ears?
Yeah, had a little fun with that. And actually,
You did. I listened to
the
that.
OHL website cut that up and put a little.
That's where I
piece
saw
together.
it. I was like, that's awesome, right?
So
6'7", 6'7". Come on, Barry, do it. 6'7". I don't know, right? I don't even know what that is.
No,
I don't think anybody knows.
I have no idea, but yeah. But no, we just have some fun. Obviously, you get down to business and do the work, but at the same time, you're. You say that you're an entertainer, but I mean, anybody in any sort of form of media is an entertainer.
Sure, absolutely.
So, I mean, you just try to...
Well, I want to listen to you.
You just kind of entertain, educate as best you can.
If not, I'm going to hit the mute button and I'll just watch the game.
Exactly.
Right? Well, that's why I'd be good in radio, right? And it's really been unique around here as well, as far as the Sarnia Sting goes.
Right.
And coming into where you are now in your position, all those relationships that you've been able to establish over all these years has probably come in handy. Like I sit in the media room with you and Terry and some of the others, but honestly, I really enjoy sitting with you and Terry. You'll notice I don't talk a lot because I listen to what you guys are talking about. It's honestly how I've learned so much from both you and Terry and others. And I just sit there and I'm in awe. And
well, he has and I'll give him full props. He has I don't know, what do you call it? Eidetic memory.
Photographic memory.
He remembers things.
Everything.
And if he says it, sometimes it'll tweak me, and I'll I remember that. But he remembers every inch of every play. Remember that game in against Erie in March of 2018 when so and so did this. You gotta go, oh yeah, I do remember that. But
see, that's where I sit there and go, yeah, right, that guy. I don't know, but you guys get even going in the media room. Is that a bit of your? Is that a prep thing, or is that just
just guys?
I
think just guys just shooting the breeze, right? So,
yeah. You've seen a lot of changes then from the Royals to then the Sarnia Sting comes into play. And at that time, too, there was a lot of politics over where the arena should be built and what they should be called and blah, 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 blah. But aside from that, you've really seen a lot of growth and changes and different staff. And,
we've seen a turnover as far as different management people are concerned, different coaches are concerned, all the way through, right through. But I have to say that there's very few, if I could think of any, to be quite honest, that haven't treated me, and I know most other media members, with kindness and respect and courtesy and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, my experience so far.
Yeah. So I don't have any issues as far as that's concerned at all. But yeah, I mean, there's been a ton of people that come through, whether it be business people like what Jake Borey is doing now, that sort of thing. So those jobs have changed, assistant coaches have changed, management has changed. That sort of thing.
Well, and we just had a recent change with head coach of the Sarnia Sting, Al Latang, and we can talk about that a little bit. But the overall atmosphere, it seems, of the Sarnia Sting has always been positive.
Right.
Very, especially like I say now with Jake Burry and his team that he's got, they're really on top notch of things. But for you as a play-by-play or a color, I should say, I guess, what's changed for you in the booth over the years on how you call a game?
Right. I'm trying to think back to we where we are, and when people come to the rink, if you sort of look straight up, you'll see our booth on the same side of the arena as the Stephen Stamkos banner. So you'll see our booth there. We used to be one row down before they built those. So it was kind of a little bit of a cramped space, right?
Oh yeah.
So it was, and some of the visiting media was there, and other the people who looked after the shot clock and that sort of thing. So we were kind of
cozy.
Yeah, cozy. That's a good way of putting it. But since we had the sort of standalone booth now, and then the radio has the one next to us. That's made things a lot easier. But as far as the actual broadcast itself is concerned, I don't know that a whole lot has changed by way of how we present the game on the air. Obviously, because you're dealing with volunteers, kids go off to school, so you're always kind of trying to restock the coverage.
As far as, we need someone to cover camera one.
Exactly. So
otherwise we're in trouble that night.
Exactly.
Right.
And
Barry, go down and grab that camera.
Well, that happened when Mark Landers was doing the Daily Show on Kojiko. He came a couple of nights just because he had that ability to work the camera. So Terry and Scott, who looks after the truck, they were a little short, and Mark just came and worked the camera.
Do what has to be done, right?
Yeah. So
let's go back into right to the point. How did that come about for you, and how long did you do that?
I think it was about a dozen years or so. I used to do that between September. Basically,
that's a good run.
It was September through May. We'd take the summer off because obviously people were not as available, and there weren't as many volunteers available either. But yeah, it was just. I think it was just one of those things where I don't recall the exact moment when it came to fruition, but. Rosemary Travis used to be the volunteer coordinator, and she was kind of looked after some of the programming. And I remember we got together one day, and we're chatting or whatever, and I asked if they'd be interested in something along those lines, which is sort of the way to do it if people are interested in hosting a show on Kojiko. And if you have an idea, then just get a hold of people and say, I'd like to do a show.
Well, they're always looking for content too. Right?
I'd like to do a show on cars or on science or whatever, right? They may say no, they may say yes, they may say no. In my case, they said yes, and
they kept you around.
And they kept me around, not sure why some days.
Did they ever offer to pay you double?
No.
But talk a little bit more about what the show was about.
The show was a public affairs program, so we tried to zero in on some of the news items of the day, but also if the Big Sisters and Big Brothers were having their book sale or having a Christmas event or Christmas for everyone out in Petrolia wanted to come in. So we tried. It was a little bit of a mix of harder news and then more public service events.
What a great idea for a show.
I was going to say, I'm not sure where I come up with that idea, but
you were before me for sure. And that's changed a lot too. I mean, you talk about so you were covering politics,
right?
You're covering community events. You're covering individuals.
If there was someone who was wanted a scholarship or whatever, or I remember talking to some people about some health challenges. Talked to someone from Alzheimer's Society or from Heart and Stroke or whatever, and it was good for me. I thought it was good for me in the sense that I got to know more about these topics than maybe I would have known otherwise.
Absolutely.
Because it's just not something that I might necessarily just log on and say, I wonder what this means when they say ABC, right? And
we're really in a unique position to talk and get to know people. One of the things that I would say similar to, for me anyway, is, well, even this right now, I've known of Barry.
Right.
I've sat in the media room with Barry and we've had some fun conversations, but I don't really know Barry. And I've been able to learn a whole lot about people, that
just keep it to yourself.
Really,
oh, sorry, too late.
Nobody watches this show, except when it's on Kojiko. Plug.
There you go.
But that's right. A unique position to be in to learn. I don't want to go down any rabbit holes or beat anybody up. Right. Let's talk a little bit of politics. So
go ahead, spit it out.
Well, so different. I mean, no, like you say, like back in your time, politics has it really changed much?
Politics,
or is it still the beat 'em up, rock 'em, sock 'em?
I think there was always a little bit of that, even when you go back into the 70s and 80s and that sort of thing. There was
like campaign time,
there was. But a lot of it was sort of behind closed doors, right?
Okay,
now everything is available, everything is immediate, right? So I think a lot of that stuff still happened. It's just we didn't hear about it as much.
It happens quicker now?
It certainly happens quicker, for sure, and more available, for sure.
Do you think that and you're on social media, but I know you're not super active on social media. But you do have your sports.
Yeah, your sports news.
Your sports news, right? And are you on social media? Are you one of those guys that's just watching and you're not commenting on anything?
A few times I get caught and I say something and then I kind of think, oh, why
did I do that?
Yeah, that's a half an hour I'll never get back again.
I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah, but I have learned over the years to just kind of bite my lip and just kind of say, you know what, that's just so-and-so being so-and-so.
Yeah.
And we'll just leave that alone, right?
Well, then if what you're saying doesn't really have a positive impact, what's the point of saying anything
exactly.
other than that? Then it becomes just your opinion, right?
Exactly.
Do you think that we have a lot of I don't want to call them journalists, like what I do, for example, like somebody called me a journalist and they're like, you're a journalist, you have to, and I'm like, whoa, like, thanks for the compliment, but I'm not a journalist. I didn't go to school or I didn't go through all of that. Do you think there's a lot of that now? Like, I'm a journalist because I can type on the keyboard?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that maybe think more of themselves or have a higher opinion of themselves than perhaps they should. But I mean, that's people might say the same thing about me, so I don't want to go too far. Far down.
I think you've earned your badge, though, Barry. Yeah. Like, I mean,
but I think everybody.
It's an opinion.
Everybody is a skeptic anymore. Yeah. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody, you need to. Not only you need to say what you want to say, but you need to, and I'm going to sound like the old guy yelling at the clouds, I understand, but you need to post what you're eating for lunch, or you need to, and frankly, most days I could care less.
Right.
I don't care. If your lasagna was good and you enjoyed it, good for you.
Yeah. See, I'm that guy. I will post, but I have a different angle though. Like my angle is I'm posting it because I'm at a local restaurant and I want to promote them.
You want to promote that restaurant.
Once in a while I go, hey boy, this is good. But there's always that angle to it. But yeah, I know, right? Like I don't care that you had surgery last week. How's your knee, your hip? Yeah. That's great to hear. I'll text you that.
Exactly.
I don't need to see your surgical repair.
No, that's right. Yeah. I've had a few surgeries over the years and I can tell you I've never posted what I look like either before or after, so there you go.
It's a different kind of life, though, isn't it?
It is. Right? And our kids, I mean, as I say, I was married later, so our kids are 25, 23, and 21.
Yeah. Same.
And I mean, that's how they grew up. I mean, they're on their phones, they're on Instagram, they're on, and that's their mode of communication. So I don't begrudge anybody that.
Yeah.
It's just I don't necessarily get involved as much as maybe.
Because sometimes when you step into that world, you really step into it.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Believe me. But there's a way to handle it too, right? I mean, like I just don't respond to a lot of stuff. Say what you want. Yeah. I'm still right here.
And as I say, I've had a few occasions where I've kind of maybe lost my temper and said, type this, and then you kind of
don't know what you're talking about.
Why did I do that? Why? So,
right.
There you go. Yeah.
How does your wife fit into everything that you do? Like you're kind of in similar.
Yeah. We've always been in the same realm in the media in some form or another. So it's I mean her business obviously she's. Has a couple of employees, but for the most part, it's her responsibility. So I mean,
like, do you talk hockey? Does she? She's
not a big hockey fan, but we talk about politics and what's going on, and maybe what's happening, at your local council meeting or on a wider swath, what's happening south of the border or what have you, right? So we have those conversations. My son is a big sports fan, so that's how I keep connected as far as sports is concerned. So
you fill each other in.
Exactly. But I like to sort of be, and this is going to sound a little boastful. It's not meant to be, but I like to sort of have a broader understanding that. I understand that people are engaged and interested and want the Sting to do well, but that can't be it shouldn't be your be all and end all. You should also know what's going on in your community and other avenues, whether this new complex sports complex they're talking about, or how much your taxes are going up, or some new medical advances, that sort of thing. What's happening in Canadian politics, international, America, and that sort of thing.
Artificial intelligence, Barry. How do you feel about that?
I'm not a fan. But,
why not?
But I'll be honest. I don't know as much about it as I'm sure most people do. But it's I think it just has there's a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for? It almost has a little bit of a sinister feel to it, like it could be used for using good versus evil sort of thing.
Well, yeah.
But I mean, I suppose that could be
Guns
said.
do that.
That could be. I was going to say that could be said about a lot of things. I suppose, right? So
have we gone too far with our technology when we hit that? Do you feel like people are worried we're going to lose the human aspect?
Right.
And I mean, humans are always going to be here.
Right.
It's just where we fit in, I think.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'm fearful of is, as I say, my two youngest kids are both looking for work, right? And the work that they're in, or the work that they would like to be in, is being infiltrated, if that's the right word, by AI.
Yeah.
So those jobs that, and not just my kids, a lot of kids who are looking for work, those jobs might be taken away. I mean, I know that's happened already with ATMs and automatic checkouts at grocery stores and so on and so forth. I understand all that. But
it's been coming for a long time. It just didn't look so. It's like all of a sudden it showed up in this big way. But it's really like autocorrect and like Grammarly and all that stuff. That's all AI, right?
Yeah.
Text on our phone, autocorrect.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I turn autocorrect off because I get in trouble sometimes.
I was going to say, I've had a few where I kind of go, what did you just say? And then you hit send to go, huh?
I'm still getting used to talking to it, telling it what I want to say, and saying send it to so-and-so, and making sure that
it goes
to
that person. Yeah,
I might say one thing to my wife and not to my other friend who's also female.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The Sarnia Sting and we talked a week ago all day with players and coaches and stuff. I want to talk hockey fans in general, but then let's shift over to Sarnia Sting fans. Hockey fans, what's your definition of that?
Well, I think just people that come and they're passionate about their team. I mean, they want their team to do well. They'll tell you when they think that something should be done differently. I guess I'll be as polite as I could be.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they come, they pay their money. Now, I think sometimes there's occasions, and I haven't really seen it here, but I have seen it in some other rinks perhaps, where people think that I pay my money so I can say whatever I want. I can have whatever I want on my sign, or I can yell at the coaches, or I can yell at the players, or I can call them names that we shouldn't be calling them in public, and that sort of thing. As I say, I don't think I've seen it a lot here. Perhaps occasionally, but
well, I mean, like, is it fair to say that a fan is entitled to have their opinion about it?
Oh, for sure.
But there's still a line on.
Well, that's right.
You still got to treat people right.
Well, you have to treat people right, and there's a certain. I mean, when you come into this rink, and there's 3,000 other people here, that you're all, or for the most part, you're all rowing in the same direction. You're cheering for the same team, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, we're still there's still some civility, or there should be civility involved, right?
Yeah.
So maybe if you think you're gonna lose it on the coach or lose it on a player or whatever, maybe just get up and
leave,
walk around the concourse or something, right? Just take a deep breath and
yeah. But that's the intensity of a hockey fan. And I say hockey fan, I don't say sports fan, because I think hockey fans, my observation and my 10 years around it, is way different than any other sport.
Yeah, it's I think I think you're right in the sense of people being super passionate. But I think like if you watch college football in the U.S. or whatever, things like that, they get a little. They do the
crazy.
They do the tailgate. They do the paint and the whole deal, right?
We've got a couple of Sting fans.
Yeah, I was
like
going to say we've got some people like that too, and they have some fun. So I'm sure there's other sports that could probably maybe when the Blue Jays were in the World Series, it was people that got a little hyped up with colors.
I was in
all the rest, right?
I was in the Bahamas at a casino watching that on a giant sportsbook screen, and there was half Dodgers.
Okay,
it was half American, half Canadian.
Yeah,
let's just say it for what it is. And it was last game was getting pretty wild, and I was like, I'm just going to go up to the room and watch the rest of this.
Why?
I think nothing bad happened, but man,
but still,
it was loud and it was crazy, and it was there. That's a whole other story. There was a lot of respect there too.
Let's answer your question. I think hockey fans, certainly there's a certain amount of passion that comes with being a fan. Like that's here, that's in London, that's in Kitchener, Owen Sound, you name it, right? Like
Sting fans, though, I got to give them a lot of credit. Like sure they moan and they groan on Facebook and they blah, 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 and they think this should be done and without knowing all the facts behind the scenes or whatever. I mean, even
facts, right?
Well,
fact is the way of good story.
But even us media guys, like we don't. You probably do too. I get asked all the time, "Oh, do you know if they're going to do this, or did you hear this?" It's like they really don't tell us until they want us to know.
It's going to say,
I heard a rumor that so and so is going.
Oh, lots of you hear that all the time. I've heard so and so's name is out there, or such and such name is out here, whatever. Until it happens. I mean, and that's we'll
when's Diorio come back?
We'll come back in the trade deadline in January, and people say, I wonder who's trading who to, and everyone will have an opinion, but as you say, until the team or teams, because there's usually two involved with a trade, obviously, until the teams send out a news release, it's all conjecture, right? So
Sting fans have been really supportive, though. Over how many is it? 30 now, or
it was 1994, right? So it's 30 plus,
30 plus, and it's been a tough run. It's been a great run, in the sense of fans and all that stuff. But it's been tough. Like fans are really looking for a win,
right? And we've had, and I don't want to say it was a bad thing because it wasn't, but we've had a tale of two cities over the past few years, right? Because we had 22-23, where they went all the way to the Western Conference Final. This place was hopping. It was full. People were lining up for hours outside to get tickets. I mean, coming and starting to line up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I mean, we'd never seen.
I was popular that year. Can you get me tickets?
That's right. Yeah. But I don't think we'd ever seen that in Sarnia before. No. We see that in NHL games, the Stanley Cup playoffs, that sort of thing. But we've never seen that in Sarnia, where people are lining up in the middle of the night to bring in their chairs and their sleeping bags and all the rest, right? So they could get
lining up to see Star Wars
primo tickets, right? So that was the positive part.
Yeah.
But then there's been, and I don't want to call it backsliding, that's not the right word, but obviously the team hasn't been as successful since. So we have these sort of two tales. The one that's really, really fun and exciting. It unfortunately didn't work out in the end, in the sense we lost to London in that series, but it was a great run. It was a great run, and people
missed it by that much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Maxwell Park, right? Yeah, aged 86.
That's right.
And then since then, obviously, it's been a little bit more of a struggle, and so people are remembering 2023 and kind of we need to get back to there again. And I have every confidence that the people who run the show here are trying their level best to get back to where they were in 2023.
Well, when the new ownership announcement came out, and they were very clear,
right,
on their message. You were there at that announcement. I was there with you and a few others, and that's what I remember. Is they were so clear on what the intent is, and that's Memorial Cup's been mentioned in there. Not even just winning it, but hosting it.
Exactly.
And you have Leg One was very clear about when he originally purchased.
Right.
It was to stay here.
Yeah,
there
to
was
stay
there.
here.
There had been other opportunities along the way.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And it was like, no,
Yeah.
we're right here. And we've seen a lot of changes since the new ownership. You know,
well, they want to give the players every opportunity to succeed. They want to give them everything they need by way of equipment, health, lifestyle, that sort of thing. And as you say, we've seen, well, the general public probably doesn't see it as much as, because when you walk in, you see the rink. But I mean, in the bowels of the rink, if you will, I mean, there's all kinds of different things that are happening. New dressing rooms and new equipment and that sort of thing. And those are the things that the Mark Guy and Ryan Finch and their group, those are the things they want to do to allow for these young men. And let's keep in mind, these are young men. I mean, they're even the oldest ones are 20. You know,
right?
So these are young men. So they want to give them every opportunity to succeed.
No, and I think too, and people forget it's a business.
Oh, for sure.
Business has got to be run, and business has got to be profitable, and it's not just
and people want wins. People want wins. I mean, that's
wins sell tickets and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a cyclical thing. You win, you sell tickets, people buy more jerseys and all the rest that goes with it.
And it doesn't change overnight. Although that's saying, and I don't want to just stay focused on all of this, but we saw some changes pretty quickly when the new leadership and ownership came along. Yeah. But there's also that long term that's got to, you got to stay the race, so to speak, right, for a while.
And that's
the toughest part.
Well, and I don't think that's trotted out to the public quite as much. Here's our long-term plan, because I mean they know what benchmarks they want to. Here's where we want to be at the end of 2025, 26. Here's where we like to be at the end of 26.
There's a roadmap.
There's that roadmap, right? But that's not something that you might talk about it in general terms, but it's not something you say, oh, we want to have 30 wins by the end of this season, or we want to have 35 wins, because there's too many variables for those numbers to, I mean, a young, one of your star players separates us. Well, Alejandro Diorio was out for 2 months of the season, right? So who knows how many of those losses that the Sting suffered might have been wins had he been in the lineup. So there's a lot of variables involved. And
and that's why we get to talk about it.
Exactly.
We can try to figure it out, and we can give our opinions and stuff like that. But I think the Sting's headed in the right direction, quite honestly. And I've always been the guy, like my dad taught me, it was like when the team's down, that's when you're supposed to cheer.
Right.
And that's kind of more of a baseball philosophy.
Sure.
Come on, let's go, swing bat, all that stuff, right? And I think that's kind of probably safe to say where the Sting's sitting right now. They need the fans to keep coming out, show the confidence and the faith and everything. They've done that the last couple of years, though, since that
they really
23 run. The numbers have been incredible.
I give the fans tremendous amounts of credit, because the first year after that run,
they're zealots.
The attendance was still there. They were kind of waiting for that to kick in again. And then last year, the attendance, this year maybe it's down a little bit this year, but still, when you look at
3,500.
I was going to say, you look around the league. Ottawa, they played last Friday. There was like 2,700 people in Ottawa. You know how big the city of Ottawa is, right? There's 2,700 people. There was 2,900 or so in Owen Sound. Now I recognize Owen Sound as a smaller community. But there's still, yes, we don't have 9,000 seats like London has, or 7,000 seats like Kitchener has, or 6,500 like Windsor. We have a nice sized arena for this size of community, and I think people have supported the team well. And I hope, even though there have been some blips the last few days or so, and I hope the people continue to come out.
And I always give credit to Jake and his team, but they've done a really good job in connecting in with the community as well. Right. You look at Sting Assists.
Oh, for sure,
and all that sort
Sting
of stuff,
Assists, the players out in the community serving food at restaurants and going to school. Like some of those social media things that you see, that's when you kind of recognize that these kids are still only 16, 17, 18 years old,
Maybe
because
20,
you put them in a setting with a bunch of elementary school kids that are maybe 10 and 11,
Right.
and they just have a hoot. The Sting players are just having a great old time playing floor hockey with these kids, and that's when you recognize, yes, they're kids who have aspirations. Some of them aspirations to go on and play in the National Hockey League, but they're still just kids. They just want to have some fun.
Yeah,
right?
there's a line in that too, I think, right, Barry, where they're just kids. Like we've talked about in my broadcast many times. Travel, school expectations, away from family, on a bus, practice, then the game, community.
Yeah.
And by the way, I wouldn't mind being a teenager.
Exactly.
Because that's a lot of adult stuff going on. But that being said, I mean, they signed on the dotted line.
Sure,
right?
they chose.
So there's still an expectation.
They chose that lifestyle.
But they're not.
But you do have to remember that they're
Because I think the line is the NHL.
Oh, for sure.
It's like they're not NHL.
No.
Right?
Exactly.
They're working toward.
Exactly.
It's what they can become, not what they are today. I think. Right.
And I remember a couple of years ago. And I don't want to tell any tales out of school, but I remember a couple of years ago when we used to have the news conference or press conference after the games.
Yeah.
They would send out players if they won, but they would send out coaches if they lost. And I remember saying to one of the Sting management people at one time, if you want to sort of teach them how to be a professional, you have to send them out when they lose too.
Got to face the music,
because you have to. And that's
you and I've talked about that.
That's not to say that we have to throw arrows at them or anything like that, but you still have to be able to articulate and speak about the game, even when it's not in a positive
and this
manner,
is now
right?
good practice, because the media that's there, like you're there and others that are asking the questions, not there to beat anybody up.
No.
But we want to pull a little bit of information. But when you get to the next level, that's a whole different
ball
hockey game, ball game, whatever that looks like, right?
You don't know whether.
And you're right. We used to have the ongoing. And this is years ago when we did it downstairs by the Zamboni truck.
Yeah, you sort of back somebody up against the wall.
We lost,
right?
and we'd all take bets, I think, on which coach are we getting, right?
Exactly.
And even up to the last couple of years here with Al Letang, we kind of had a pretty good idea that Al's coming up. He's great. I loved Al.
But the kids, to their credit, they have come out when
they're doing that a little bit more,
losing,
right?
And even if it's a fairly one-sided loss, they come out and they answer the bell, and I give them full credit for that.
What's next for you, Barry? Are you going to retire anytime? Are you going to travel, or what's up?
I guess technically, by numbers, I am retired.
Yeah.
Although, as many people who are retired will tell you, they're busier now than they were when they were working. Right? Same thing with you. So I mean, I do this, and I do your sports news and try to sort of keep that up to date. I'm a lay leader at my church, so I do a little bit of work.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Do a little bit of work there as well, and help out my wife with the odd thing if she needs to send out a few emails or whatever.
Right.
So there's always something to keep.
But you're doing what you want to, not what you have to.
And that's
right?
That's exactly
what
it.
I said to you, right? Yeah.
That's exactly it. Is there's always something to keep you interested, and but it's not so. I don't need to go to work at when I used to work early in the mornings. I mean, I'd get into the radio station at 4:00 in the morning, right? So I was up at 3. I don't need to get up at 3.
Well, this was early for you today, wasn't it?
Yeah, relatively speaking, yeah. So we started this just after 11.
Yeah, right.
So, but it's I mean, they're just things that I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And as you say, if there's no pressure, so if I don't post something that I want to post on my site for a day, I'm not competing with anybody, so I don't need to. Oh, I need to get.
It's a passion project.
I need to get this story up or that story up.
Yeah,
I'll get to it when
deadlines.
I'll get to it when I get to it,
Yeah.
right? Which is
I
probably good for the heart. So.
Yeah, I used to do that with the show. It used to be like Monday 7:30, blah 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 blah. Now it's Monday.
Exactly. Yeah, Monday. You got a 24-hour window, right?
I can put it on any time.
Exactly,
It's all good. And wow, I wish we had more time because there's so much I want to ask you. But
Part 2 coming up. No.
Yeah, no, we'll do it for sure, right? And we didn't even get a chance to talk bad about that Terry guy.
He knows, right?
Yeah. No, actually, I'm really grateful for Terry, and I've learned a lot from him. I said that, and I'll say something similar to you that I said to him. Thank you so much for allowing somebody like me to. I kind of invited myself into that world, and it maybe took some time for warming up and to go maybe take this guy seriously a little bit. But I've learned a lot from people like you, and we always have a couple minutes after post games and down in the media room.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that. It's one of the things I look forward to when I come to the arena, as I get to spend time with people.
Yeah, we have an opportunity downstairs in the media room before that we disperse and do
pizza and coffee.
Yeah, go about our business and then reconvene afterwards.
And then
it's
have
a lot
good
of
show.
yeah,
right?
a lot of fun and enjoy the company for sure.
I'm very, very grateful for you, because I'm still learning how to spell sports. I got the S and the S going. It's the middle part.
The middle part. You're working on it.
Barry Wright, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
And appreciate all of you watching. So make sure, what I'm going to say, click the share button so we can share Barry's story and everybody else that's here in the show. But as always, that's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. We'll see you next time right here on the show. Bye for now. Go Sting, go.
Go Sting, go. Exactly.
See ya.